this course is the installation part about DigiEye280. This course is the fourth course of DigiEye280 product. In this course, it will be introduced the installation and system calibration of the system, including the preparation, installation workflow, installation procedure, and the system calibration. And after learning this course, the engineer can understand DigiEye280's installation and the calibration workflow, and master each detailed installation steps, having the capacity. Before our lesson, let's reflect this problem first. First, what tools need to be prepared for installation? And how many boxes of the DigiEye280 and the weight of the heaviest one? Further, what is the methods of attention about the DigiEye280 unpacking? And how to do the generator calibration and the detector calibration. Sixth, how to do the alignment of the light feed with the X-ray feed of DigiEye280. 7. If the ionization chamber is configured, how to do the AEC calibration. The last. Okay, this course contains of 3 parts. The preparation mainly introduces the tools we need to prepare before the installation. The second part is about the installation and startup, and this is the most important part in this course. And the last one is about the install the cover after finish the first one. Engineer should prepare the tools, including the DR installation kit. The Mary internal engineer can apply the installation kit in the CRM system, and the distributor engineer can also buy it from MyRay. Besides, the table assembly movement tools is also needed. These tools contains of 4 pieces, and it is used to transport the patient table and tube stand. The internal engineer can apply it also. And you can see for the customer, they also have to prepare some tools, such as the drill, the power outlet, and the power distributor cabinet. But of course, the engineer can buy a drill for backup. Furthermore, the customer should prepare some materials like the desk to locate the workstation, the alcohol for cleaning the high voltage cable connect pin, and the power cable, and others such as the shielding lamp, the ground dart, or the warming light, as I said in. Okay, the next one, also the most important part, is about the installation and startup. Processing contains of different stages, and I will introduce it one by one in the next. The first one, unpacking. Okay, for the unpacking. Before unpacking, we have to check the numbers of the containers and verify the containers shipped to the installation site are the same equipment. It means that all the container has the same serial number on the outer. Further, detach and check the components gently to avoid any damage. And before checking all the components on the basic of packing list, do not discard the packing materials. For unpacking procedures, first, move the packing case to a place very close to the installation site and check whether the outer case is damaged. Second, remove the packing materials. Third, if there is a warning label like this on the case, check the label become red or not. If it becomes red, please take a photo for evidence. Fourth, if a container cannot be moved into the equipment room or it needs to transport it from a long distance. In this type, the table assembly movement tools is required. First, unpack the integrated floating patient table. Here is the size of the boxes, and this box is the largest one. Please make a good plan for the goods entering load and position before the installation. And if the position is large enough, remove all the bolts on the bottom of the case. Second, put down the side board like the picture and draw out the case to the opposite direction. Fourth, remove the tabletop and the plastic film. Here, be careful that do not scratch the surface of the machine when removing the plastic film with a knife. Fifth, take out all the components and put them in a safety place. Be careful the safety of the goods after take out the package is very important. And then remove the face screws of the patient table with the button board and install the table assembly movement tools like this, and move the patient table to the equipment room. Next one is to transport the tube stand. First, remove the face screws of the tube stand on the button board and install the table assembly movement tools on the tube stand. And of course, if you have enough people, you can carry the stand to the equipment room directly. Okay, the following box is about the workstand. In this box, mainly contains of the workstand, the workstation, the mirror detector, and the accessories. Of course, if some optional parts is configured, like the lateral position bar, the ionization chamber, they also in this workstand box. If a toshiba detector config, it is an individual package from supplier. Before unpacking, check the vibration warning label first. If the label becomes red, take off. The standing operator console is optional and also has an individual package. Okay, after unpacking and transport the components to the equipment room, we start to installation. First one is the patient table. Okay, step 1, locate the patient table according to layout. Usually, we use these two distance in this. Second, disassemble the front cover of the patient table and the table power box. Then drill 4 holes with the percussion drill. We use the 10mm drill. And then adjust the level of the patient table like the picture shows in this position and this position. Fourth, put the rectangle spacer under the track to level the table. Yeah, in these 4 points. The last, insert the expansion bolts into these 4 holes and tighten. Yeah, notice that there are spacers in the accessory box. Is together fitted to one with different thickness. Next, install the tube stand. First, remove the red transport protect block and keep the balance, because we may use the balances for different detector or configuration. And second, install the transportation tool. Further, move the stand to a proper position and remove the transportation tools and install on the bottom of the stand. And adjust the height of the tools as the picture shows us. Then elect the stand. Here, pay attention that before elect the stand, we have to install the balancer rocker first. This one, the balancer rocker. If we don't install the balancer rocker, the stand may slide when erecting. Fourth, remove the anti-crash block at the end of the track. This one or this one. And of course, only remove one side. Fifth, move the tube stand into the track. Be aware of the electrical magnet. During the procedure, if the engineer feels there is some obstacle resisting the insert, please stop and check if something blocked. And do remember cut the ties around the magnet after inserting the stand. And the type is 6. Reinstall the anti-clash block and move the stand on the track several times to check whether any abnormal movement. Besides, install the triangle brackets in the both sides of the track. This one in the picture show, and we can find the brackets in the accessory box. And next step is connect the cables. First, fix the tank change and ground wire on the stand, like this, and flat the power cable to this hole and plug in the last is to remove all the transport safety rockers. It means all the red parts on the patient table or the tube stand. The fourth one to installation is the tube and collimator. First, push the pulley to find out a suitable height where you could see the screw hole, and use the screw to lock the pulley. And there are two holes for fixing. The engineer could select any one which is more loose and remove the rotary knobs and the rings. Take out of the tube from, then install the tube into the rings and tighten 4 screws on the rings here. Be careful, the tube may be rotation during the installation, so keep the. After tighten the tube, rotate the tube 180 degrees. Then rotate the front cover and fix it by this screw temporarily, and flat the cable as the picture shows. Next, take out the collimator, loose and remove the screws, and disassemble and rotate the front cover to install a normal position. After that, install the flange as the picture shows us, and there is no direction for the flange. Put the collimator into the flange. During this procedure, the engineer should need to move the switch so that they can rotate and take off the glass under the collimator and cut off the ties in the collimator here like this, and then plug the power cable into the socket. As the picture shows, connect these two hand switch cables and try to rotate and tighten them onto the fixing point. The next, install the stand-based covers. Take out the covers from the accessory box and assemble it as the below picture. For the cover one assembly, first tie the marked screws. On the tube stand, there are 3 hose clampers, which used to support the cables, and it needs to correspond to the yellow type on the cable. As shown in the picture, route the cable from the base to the tube and mount the cable with the hose clampers like the picture here. Before plug the high voltage cable, we have to clean the pins, the seal rings, and the transparent rubber pads with alcohol, and wipe the silicone oil on both sides of the transparent rubber pads and 3 connector pins, and wipe the silicone grease on the high voltage cable electrode bar surface eventually, and revolve the outer ring until it cannot be revolved. After that, use a 2mm head wrench to tighten a small jack. Then connect the analog stator cable to the tube according the label on the cable. If a Toshiba tube is configured, we use the label with T, and if Kailong tube is configured, we use the label with. The next part is install the generator. First, lay down the generator and place it on front of the patient table. Second, disassemble the cover of the generator and put the oil tank into the frame of the generator, and then connect all the cables according to the mark on the cables. Next, connect the cable. The power cable here and the others connect to the different board according to the label. After connect all the cables on the J2 connector on the filament driver board, we have to test the resistance main cam and swift cam with a multimeter. The main cam resistance should be lower than the swift cam resistance. If not, check whether the anode stator cable is connected correctly on the tube side. Besides, we also need to pay attention to the J2 connector on the auxiliary power board. The J2 connector is used to control the emergency switch function. If we got to connect the J2, it may lead the system power on. Besides, connect the door lock and door indicator depend on the customer requirement. The port 1 and port 2 on the TS1 connector, it was used to connect the door lock, and port 3 and port 4 used to connect the door indicator. According to the circuit, the door indicator usually connect to the port 3 and port 4 on the TS1 connector, and its default 220 volt AC from the bucket in the baseboard. But if the local area used 110 volt AC, the cable in J528 should be changed to J634, and the door lock usually connects to the port 1 and port 2 on the TS1 connector. In the last, install the cover of the generator. Next part is install the ionization chamber on the table detector box. As you know, the ionization chamber is optional, so if the chamber is configured, demount the flange cover of the table detector box first, and then disassemble the ionization chamber support plate. Here, this one, and then demount the grid sliding rail, and then install the chamber on the support plate. In the last, reinstall the. Here is the ionization chamber we can configure, but mostly we configure the Siemens ionization chamber, and this one, the yellow. After install the ionization chamber, insert the grid into the grid sliding rails. Note that the label on the grid is upward. Next is install the tabletop. First, demount one side of the table end and the limited block according to the equipment number. Second, insert the tabletop from the opening end and slip it into the floating frame on the table. And here, please note that the rear side of the tabletop has to close to the tube stand. So, how to distinguish the rear side of the tabletop? And there is a small side hold on the rear side. And third, push the tabletop to the end and slide it several times. If the movement is smoothly, we can reinstall the table end and the limited block. Here, the tabletop installation. As the picture shows, slide the tabletop on the frame several times, and we can operating the installation. Then install the workstation in the control room. Before the installation, the customer should be prepare the desk. First, take out the materials from the boxes and position them on the desk. Connect the cable depend on the layer. If my race detector is configured, the power of the PC and monitor have to supplied by the isolated transformer. Here, the transformer output connect to the PC and the monitor, and the transformer's power come from the. After the workstation is start up, set the time zone of the computer according to the local time zone. The next part is connect the cables of the power distributor cabinet. Before connect the power cable, make sure the power of the PDC has been cut off. Then connect the 3-phase power cable from the TS1 connector to the PDC, and then connect the besides, measure the output of the PDC is 380 volt AC or not. If the power is not 380 volt AC, we have to change the connector according to the actual output and the label on the transformer connector. For example, the actual output is 400 volt AC. Then we have to change the connector to the 400 volt AC one, and you can see the connector besides the transformer. Right now, we have finished the mechanical installation part, and next one is about the inspection. First, the electrical inspection. Usually, we need to check the 3-phase power cable from the power distributor cabinet to the generator. We need to check whether the power cable and the ground wire are connected correctly and firmly. And the others, we need to check the cable on the high voltage tank, including the inverter transmission lines, the high voltage cables, and the connection line from the filament drive board. Secondary, check the installation structure inspection. We need to check whether the structure can meet the installation accuracy requirements of the table below. If not, reassemble or adjust the corresponding installation. Third, power on the system and check the startup status. Contents of the on or off button function, the emergency stop function, and the power LED light. Besides, after switch on the system, check the generator and the detector icons in the DROC surface. The normal status should display blue like the picture shows, and try to expose. When press the first grade of the hand switch, the prepare LED is on, and when press the second grade of the hand switch, the exposure LED is on. Okay, the fourth part is check the button function. First, press the buttons on the tube-collimator assembly and control the movement. Check whether the buttons are sensitive to the pressing and function normally, and then check the collimator button function. Like this one, the collimator light switch. When you press the button, the collimator light is on. And these two knobs is used to adjust the light field. One is in the longitudinal direction, and this is to the horizon direction. And this one is the rotation lock level. If you want to rotate the collimator, you need to push the rocker to another side. And this one is the filter rocker. Next, check the movement of the table, including the tabletop movement, the detector box, and the foot pedal function. Just try to move the tabletop and the detector box several times to check if any abnormal function. For the adjustment, some calibration tools are required, like the copper plate, the bin alignment test tools. First, adjust the equalized projected cross lines. Rotate the tube-collimator assembly 180 degrees to make it upwards, and loose the 4 screws on the glass panel, and switch on the collimator light. Then adjust the width of the light feed in 2 areas and make it equalized in the same direction, and tighten and then adjust the system position, including adjust the system to the under table position, and align the collimator light feed center with seal screen center of the detector. And last, adjust the SID to 100 cm. The first step is to check and adjust the collimator light feed and the level of the collimator of the detector. Place the copper plate on the detector surface and make the mark point is on the left button of the copper, like the picture show, and center the copper plate with the detector by the collimator light, and then put the bin alignment test tool on the center of the copper plate. And last, check the projection of the cylinder is regular. It means that the shadow around the cylinder should be circular. If not, adjust the level of. Now we can make an exposure according to below parameters, and we can get an image in the display. Measure the distance between the edge of the X-ray feed and the edge of the copper plate image as the A1, A2, B1, B2. The offset of the distance should be less than 10 millimeters. Besides, the offset between the light feed and the X-ray feed should be less than 10 millimeters also. In these two pictures, L and W are the light feed, and L1 and W1 are the X-ray feed. If the test result is out of tolerance, we have to adjust the position of the light feed according to actual status. Disassemble the back cover of the collimator. Loose the screws you need to adjust. In these pictures, the two screws on above is for longitudinal direction. These two screws are forward and backward direction, and these two screws used to adjust the light feed size. You can operate in the machine later, and it can help you to understand. Here, be careful, the lamp is so hot after use, so we need to wait a few minutes after close the. Further, we also need to check the X-ray bin verticality. So, how to check the verticality? Expose with below parameters, and check the two center points are within the small circle or not. If not, check and adjust the level of the detector and the tube-collimator assembly. Okay, after the adjustment, we need to install the workstand. As we know, there are two installation modes, the right hand and the left hand, and the default one is the right hand install. And sometimes we need to change the installation mode to left hand. In these situations, we need to reinstall the detector box. And the operation steps and more details, please refer the installation menu. And we don't waste too much time in the course. And this is for the Myray detector. And please learn this part from the service menu, and we will also have the operating part after this course. Okay, before install the workstand, we need to take the workstand from the box. First, disassemble all the transportation protection block on the workstand. It's the red metal block, and then move the workstand to the equipment room and install the buffer pad and the upper frame for mounting the front cover, and install the centering plate on the base of the stand. Now adjust the workstand position. Make the distance between the front side of the workstand and the lateral side of the table sliding guide is about 823 mm is the picture. Then rotate the tube-collimator assembly towards the workstand and switch on the collimator light. The light feed should be aligned to the silver screen on the detector box. Besides, the light on the centering plate also need to center with the collimator light. If not aligned, please adjust the stand vertically by the split level. If the level has something out of the tolerance, we need to add some spacers. The next step is check the position of the workstand. First, move the tube stand from left to right and check the offset of the vertical light for the light feed. If the offset is greater than 3 mm, the tube rotation needs to be adjusted. Secondly, move the detector box and the tube up and down. Check the offset of the light feed vertical line. If the offset is greater than 10 mm, the workstand position needs to be adjusted. Lastly, connect the cables as the picture shows us. Usually only one ground cable, but if the ionization chamber is configured, we also need to connect the chamber cable. So, if the ionization chamber is configured, we have to install it on the workstand. For DigiEye280, there are 3 kinds of chamber can be configured: the free feed solid one, the free feed gas one, and the Siemens one. Usually, the Siemens chamber is mostly be configured. First, install the ionization chamber on the chamber grid assembly, and then install the grid holder on the grid and insert the grid into the chamber grid. Okay, here the mechanical installation part is finished, and we need to perform the system startup. The system startup contains of the generator calibration, including the X-ray tube calibration and digital MA calibration, and the detector calibration. If the ionization chamber is configured, we also first the generator calibration. For preparation, check the setting of the dial switch on the master control board. It should be like the picture below. And rotate the tube to make the X-ray direction is away from the detector. because we don't use the detector in the generator calibration. Then run the generator service program and set up the generator type and set the workstation configuration. In the generation service, we select tool in the workstation and mode is free. Set the MS next, select setup tube trend and set the related parameters as required and click save. Fully press the hand switch and hold on to make the system continuous exposures until the calibration complete. After the calibration complete, the message trend success will display and then close. After finish the tube training, we start the digital MA calibration. Also run the generator service program and select Workstation 2. And if the generator reports some errors, click reset. And then select the setup tube, and then we will see this window. We perform the small focus first and click enter. Also full press the hand switch and hold on to make it continuous exposed until the calibration complete. During the calibration, the error E20 may appear, but just ignore. After finish the calibration, the message calibration done, please save it will appear and click save. After a few seconds, the prompt says successfully. Please restart the generator is displayed. Now we can click the exit to exit the calibration mode and restart the generator. Next is the large focus calibration, and it is the same with the small focus calibration. The next is the detector calibration. Before the calibration, make sure the detector has been powered on above 4 hours, and make sure nobody is in the exam room. Only the administrator or the authorized user have the authority to do the calibration. And if the generator error 61 appears before the calibration, just reset it. For the preparation, we have to put the detector on the portable position, like on the floor, and do not cover the portable detector. Make sure no object is between the detector and the tube, and set the SID to 130 cm. Turn on the collimator light and center the light feed cross here with the detector cross line. And note that no grid is inside the detector box. If the detector is, click the system button on the right side of the DROC and then choose the detector calibration, and you can see the detector calibration page. And then click the dark calibration first and click yes to start the dark calibration. It only needs 3 seconds And then after the dark calibration, click the X-ray calibration and click yes to start the X-ray calibration. And when the X-ray source turns red, press the hand switch to exposure within 4 seconds. And repeat the last step until the message calibration successful is displayed in the detailed information. The information indicates the calibration is complete. And then click the exit on the right side of the DROC screen to return the register and the exam screen. Here, during the calibration, we may see the below information. First, the dose is too high. It indicates the dose is too high. Check whether the SID is correct or not. If the SID is correct, decrease the kV or ms. Second, the dose is too low. It indicates the dose is too low. Check whether the SID is correct or not. If yes, increase the kV or the ms value. And the third one, detecting object existence failed. An object might be on the detector. It indicates that the detector is covered by an object. Check whether there is any object or the grid is inserted in the detector. And of course, the detector damage and the calibration may be display the detecting object information. As you know, the ionization chamber is option, so the AEC calibration is option 2. And if we have to do the AEC calibration, first the DR server account is required for the calibration. And for the calibration tool, we need a 7mm aluminum plate. And the preparation. First, align the light field crosshair of collimator and the detector center. Make sure no object is in the detector surface. Before the calibration, insert the 11mm aluminum plate to the collimator filter holder below, and set the SID to 130 cm for fairest position, or set the SID to maximum for under. And then click the system icon and then select the AEC calibration, and you can see the AEC calibration window. Choose the detector position manually so that it is consistent with the actual placing position of the detector. And then click the Start Calibration. Press and hold on the hand switch to make an exposure. It takes about 20 minutes. After the calibration finished, the following prompt message will be displayed. And click OK. The calibration result will display as below. And click Yes. The calibration data will save in the generator. After the download finished, click OK and then restart the generator. The AEC calibration. Okay, the last one is install the cover, and after install the cover, our installation is finished. The cover, including the outlet cover on the left of the table, and the generator cover, the table flap, and the table stand and workstand cover. Besides, stick the detector position labels in the detector box, and stick the white screw labels on both sides of the patient table and the workstand. And the second one is stick the position labels. Move the system to the first position and drop out the tape in the collimator to the front cover of the detector. And here, adjust the position of the tube stand. When the tape scale is in below 4 distance, stick the corresponding labels on the top surface of the rear sliding frame. The point of the triangle is aligned to the point of the tube stand sliding base. The last one, stick the detector box labels. If the system is changed to the left-handed installation mode, turn off the detector placement label on the detector box and take out the corresponding detector placement labels from the accessory kit and stick them.